Hi, everybody, and welcome back to People Pleasers Anonymous Live. Tonight, we're talking about something that many people don't realize they're doing until they're completely exhausted. Tonight, we're talking all about self-abandonment. Most people think that people pleasing is about being nice. But what if it's actually about leaving yourself behind? Most people think that people pleasing is about being nice. But what if it's actually about leaving yourself behind? What if every time you ignored your needs, swallowed your feelings, stayed silent, overgave, over-explained, or overextended yourself, you were slowly abandoning the person who needed you most? And tonight we're going to explore that together. Let me know either in the chat now, or you can send me a message across all of the platforms where we stream. Let me know where you're joining from tonight. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how exhausted are you from taking care of everyone else? And once again, you don't have to let me know in the space. You could always message me later at askdrflo@gmail.com. 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 On a scale of 1 to 10, how exhausted are you from taking care of everyone else? All right, tonight let's talk about self-abandonment. Self-abandonment happens whenever we disconnect from our own needs, our own feelings, our own values, desires, or boundaries in order to gain approval, avoid conflicts, or keep others comfortable. I'll read that one more time. Self-abandonment happens whenever we disconnect from our own needs, feelings, values, desires, or boundaries in order to gain approval, avoid conflict, or keep others comfortable. Many people don't even realize they're doing it because they've been praised for it their entire lives. People will call them helpful. People will call them dependable. People will call them selfless. Meanwhile, these people were becoming strangers to themselves. Okay? When was the last time you ignored your own needs, Jimmy? When was the last time you ignored your own needs? I'm going to drop some questions in the chat. You all can answer them now or answer them later. It's really up to you. When was the last time you ignored your own needs? Jimmy Jam says every day. Next question. Were your feelings welcomed growing up? Were you rewarded for being easy, agreeable, and helpful? I was rewarded as a child for being agreeable and easy. The adults often praised me for not being a problem child and gave me lots of head pats that I would eventually come to love as an adult. In your past, what did you learn would happen if you disappointed someone? For those of you who are here as one person or two people tonight, my coaching is $150 an hour. So you're the real winners. You're the real winners. I always tell my one audience member, if you are my only watcher tonight, you're in a private session, and my private sessions are $150 a session. When did you learn? What did you learn would happen if you disappointed someone? What would happen to you in your childhood? Or what would happen to you day before yesterday if you disappointed someone? How would you have to make it up, Tara? Tara's one of our small group attendees tonight. Yeah, a lot of people are afraid that they're going to have to pay back favors. They're afraid they're going to have to pay back favors. There are people who don't even engage with me because they're afraid that I'm going to come back and ask them for a favor later, and they just don't want to be on the hook. It's wild. Let's talk now about the hidden cost of self-abandonment. Self-abandonment is very expensive. Self-abandonment will cost you energy, joy, authenticity, confidence, creativity. It will cost you your relationships. And most importantly, it will cost you your mental health. And the scary thing is that many people became so focused on everyone else's needs that they stopped knowing what they actually want. Finish this sentence if you're with us live tonight in our semi-private session, which I love. I've spent so much time helping others that I forgot. I've spent so much time helping others that I forgot. What did you forget while you were helping others? I'll pause. So, did you spend so much time helping others that you forgot to take care of your own social anxiety, Jimmy Jams? Have you been catering to other people so much that you forgot to take care of your social anxiety? Tara says that she has forgotten to eat because of helping people. I've definitely starved myself helping people online. The prompt of tonight is, the prompt of the moment is, I've spent so much time helping others that I forgot. What did you forget? Here are more questions for those of you in the room or listening later because we have busy lives. I hope that we're never too busy for healing. Have you ever said yes when you desperately wanted to say no? Have you ever stayed in a friendship, a relationship, a church, a job, or situation long after it stopped serving you? Have you ever felt guilty for resting? You spent so much time helping others that you forgot how to make people laugh, Jimmy Jams? Have you ever stayed in a relationship or a friendship or a church or a job or a situation long after it stopped serving you? Let's talk now about why we do it. Why do we self-abandon? Most self-abandonment starts as survival. Most of us learned that we need to keep everyone happy. Don't rock the boat. Be useful. Don't be a burden. Earn your love. Earn your belonging. And the problem with those survival strategies is that often they followed us into adulthood. All right. Type the number that resonates the most with you tonight. And of course, we're talking about self-abandonment. Sway says, don't ask for too much. from people or they will run. Holy moly. People will see you as a burden. Type a 1 in the chat if you fear disappointing people. Put a 2 in the chat if you fear rejection. Put a 3 in the chat if you fear conflict. Four in the chat if you fear being seen as selfish. And put a 5 in the chat if you have a fear of being abandoned. Okay? A 1 for a fear of disappointing people. A 2 for a fear of rejection. A 3 for a fear of conflict. I've had all of these, by the way. 4 for a fear of being seen as selfish. And a 5 for a fear of being abandoned. Sway is saying, I fear disappointing myself now more. Disappointing yourself in what ways? Disappointing yourself in what ways? Not caring for yourself, not engaging in the 7 areas of self-care that we teach here in the network. Maybe that'll be my next book that I release. The 7 areas of self-care. People-pleasing is often a protection strategy. The problem is the strategy that once protected us may now be preventing us from fully living. All right, let's talk about signs that you may be abandoning yourself. Okay? Tell me in the chat which one of these hits the hardest. Okay? Which one of these signs that you may be abandoning yourself hits the hardest? You don't know what you want anymore. You apologize constantly. You feel responsible for everyone else's emotions. You rarely ask for help. You feel guilty resting. You over-explain your decisions. You struggle to set boundaries. You fear being misunderstood. You constantly put yourself last. Or you feel resentful despite being kind. I've had all of these in the last 5 years. It drove me into some really addictive behaviors that I'm glad to be out of. But I've experienced all of these. You don't know what you want anymore. You apologize constantly. You feel responsible for everyone else's emotions. You rarely ask for help. You feel guilty resting. You over-explain your decisions. You struggle to set boundaries. You fear being misunderstood. You constantly put yourself last. You feel resentful despite being kind. Jimmy Jam says, I always put myself last. That's a sign that you are abandoning yourself, my friend. I'm glad you're in our programs. I'm glad you're taking it seriously because you don't need to put yourself last. You can honor yourself. Which one of these showed up for you this week, folks? Sway says she's beyond it. Well, yeah, this is a thing. The more self-honoring you are, the lonelier it gets because people want to be in toxic codependent relationships. They want to blame you for everything that's going wrong with their lives instead of taking ownership. Why do you think I only have 3 people in the room right now taking this $5,000 masterclass? It's because when you start loving yourself in public and honoring yourself, you start to repel people who are on bullshit. I am a bullshit repellent. This is why people run back into toxic relationships or go back to that toxic ex, or the reason why people... Oh, I was thinking about this before I came in. I used to water down myself and make myself appear dumber than I am to be accepted by the people around me. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever made yourself appear dumber than who you are, or less talented or less intelligent than who you are, in order to make other people feel comfortable in the past. I used to do this all the time. I would say I would have something of intelligence in my head, or I would know the answer that my boss didn't know, or that my dad didn't know, or that my mom didn't know. And instead of speaking up and saying, oh, I know the answer, or I know the way, I would just be like, I'm not sure. What do you think? And let them take the lead so that they wouldn't feel intimidated by me. Yeah. So showing up for yourself and loving yourself and honoring yourself is a lonely path because a lot of people are on bullshit. This is why I'm here for you, Sway, so that you don't have to walk alone. You're not alone anymore because I love myself deeply and profoundly as a loved and lovable person. You love yourself deeply and profoundly as a loved and lovable person. There are other loved and lovable people in the room, so at least you have someone now when everybody else who's on bullshit goes away. What did you think was going to happen when you started putting down bullshit or repellent? All of our lives, we've been trying to sprinkle asshole repellent around us. And then all of a sudden, the assholes go away because you come to a higher vibration. You could just choose to be gratitude instead. You could just choose to be grateful instead of complaining. One of the biggest asshole repellents I have in my life is that I'm grateful. People do not like hanging around with me because I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the good. I'm grateful for the quote unquote bad. I'm grateful when I'm rich. I'm grateful when I'm poor. Assholes can't stand that. Complaining people cannot stand when you are grateful. But maybe that's one of the I guess the biggest misconception is that you're going to become popular. People think you're going to become popular when you start loving yourself. The opposite is true. Everyone who doesn't love themselves have to either get on board with loving themselves or they have to get lost. Right? But loving yourself and honoring yourself and being proud of who you are and daring to stand out and daring to own your intelligence and your light is a very lonely place. I've lived in this for 30 plus years. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Okay? I want to offer a simple exercise tonight. I want y'all to complete this sentence in the chat. We're almost done. I've tightened these up because a session with me costs $150. I'm $150 a session. I'm $150 for 45 minutes. And I've tightened these up because my team told me, you don't need to be out here for an hour and a half on a Tuesday night. You're $150 an hour. Actually, I'm $150 for 45 minutes. They were like, wrap it up. No more giving the free shit away like that in this way. If I stopped abandoning myself, I would complete the sentence. This is what I work on with my clients in private sessions. If I stopped abandoning myself, I would. What would you do if you stopped abandoning yourself? And once again, for those of you who may need the signs of how you might be abandoning yourself, if you don't know what you want anymore, or if you don't know what you want to do with your life anymore, you might be abandoning yourself. If you apologize constantly, if you feel responsible for everyone else's emotions, if you rarely ask for help, you may be abandoning yourself. If you feel guilty for resting, if you're over explaining your decisions to people, you make a decision, then you try to like prove to the people around you that the decision is right. I used to do that all the time. I would over explain my decision to Tara like 50 times. Or to my husband 50 times. If you're over explaining your decisions to people, you may be abandoning yourself. Are you struggling to set boundaries? Do you have a fear of being misunderstood by strangers and friends and family? Are you constantly putting yourself last? Are you feeling resentful despite being kind? Those are signs that you may be abandoning yourself. It's time to come home. And part of coming home is completing the sentence that's pinned there. If I stopped abandoning myself, I would. Sway says that if she stopped abandoning herself, she would just enjoy the ride. She would just be at home and at peace with her life and everything as it unfolds. That is great. Ride it till the wheels fall off, baby. Ride it till the wheels fall off. YOLO. I'm with you. I'm here for the ride. Every day is an adventure. For those of you who were in the lives yesterday was quite the adventure. And because I didn't abandon myself, I got bad news in the morning. And as I got bad news in bed, or quote unquote bad news, I don't really believe in bad and good news. I just got information. I got information yesterday. But I got some bad news, what people call bad news yesterday. And as I sat in bed and thought about this bad news I received, I was like, do I really want to allow this to ruin my day? Do I really want this to make everything bitter? Do I want to allow the unsavory, uncomfortable, unpleasant parts of my life to make me bitter today? That's a big question. Do I want the uncomfortable, unsavory, and unpleasant aspects of my life, and we all have them, do I want it to make me bitter and a bitch today? And before seeing any of you online and greeting the world, I said, no, I don't want to be bitter about this bad news. And it turns out 8-10 hours later, the bad news wasn't even real. And I told Tara last night, I said, I would have done myself such a great disservice yesterday if I had allowed the bad news in the moment to ruin my entire day when it wasn't even real. Poppy Water, for those of you who were in the room last night on TikTok, he popped in the house. I was like, I'm about to call the police. Because that ain't right. He was like, actually, what I told you happened didn't happen. I made a mistake. And people are allowed to make mistakes. He made a mistake. He misinformed me. I overreacted as a result of the mistake. But what if I had chosen to become bitter and resentful and an asshole and a bitch all day based on misinformation, fake news, right? We have to train our minds to do better. Just because you receive bad news or just because things are not working out the way you want it to doesn't mean that that gives you permission to have an awful existence. A few minutes, I'll do one more minute of this question. Then we're going to wrap this up. What if you stopped abandoning yourself? If I stopped abandoning myself, I would, what would you do? Tara says she'd be much more vocal. How, Tara? How would you be more vocal? How would that show up? Can you close your eyes and picture in your mind what that would look like for you to be more vocal? Do you see yourself standing in a space of being more vocal? Thoughts become things, so you have to see yourself in your mind living the experience and the future that you want to live. Every awesome adventure that I've had in my life, I saw it in my mind first. Tara said she'd stop putting things in hidden places and she would share more of her music. Jimmy Jam says, I'd probably get out of the house. Very good. Follow-up question. What is one small way you could choose yourself this week? What is one small way you could choose yourself this week? What is one small way you could choose yourself this week? I've got some examples for you, but Sway says being here now is choosing yourself. That is wonderful. Surrounding yourself with positive people and uplifted people is a wonderful way to choose yourself. Be very mindful of the company you keep. They say that you match the income of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And some people get very uncomfortable being the top earner in the room. What would one small action look like this week in the art of choosing yourself? Would you take a walk? Would you say no? Would you go to bed earlier? Would you ask for help? Would you take a break? Would you schedule joy? Would you speak honestly? What's one small way you could choose yourself this week? Once again, does it look like taking a walk? Does it look like saying no? I love saying no. My telling you no opens the door for someone else to tell you yes. No one catches on fire in life because someone tells them no. People have told me no my entire life. I never caught on fire. I never caught on fire. I've had tons of people tell me no. And some of y'all know I'm a professional actor and professional singer and performer. And in that audition life, you get told no all the time. You can survive a no. Trust me. It makes the yeses that much sweeter. Going to bed earlier. Sway says getting Arby's. Jimmy Jam says he's going to choose himself this week by giving people money. That is wonderful. It's called altruism. Being kind to people by giving them money. If that's true to who you are and you get a kick out of making people's day in that way, that's a wonderful way to choose yourself, especially if it doesn't harm you in any way. Here's what I want everyone to remember tonight. You were never meant to disappear in order to be loved. You were never meant to earn your worth through exhaustion. You were never meant to become responsible for everyone while neglecting yourself. Healthy love does not require self-abandonment. And the goal is not to stop caring about people. The goal is to care about yourself too. Final chat question. What's one promise you're willing to make to yourself this week? I thought I was going to do this to a room that was empty by myself, and I was thrilled to do it by myself. And then Sway, Tara, Jimmy, Avi, and Sun stopped by. And that was the icing on the cake. I was convinced, though, that I was going to do it by myself tonight. And some things, when you do them by yourselves, it ends up with a happy moment at the end. But I can't talk about that on TikTok. I can't talk about that on TikTok. What's one promise you're willing to make to yourself this week? I'm gonna let that one go for another minute. What's one promise you're willing to make to yourself this week? Jimmy Jams, I will be here. You know I'm here every day doing the work of love. Tilling the field, tilling the soil, planting the seeds of love that will inevitably sprout. Talina says, yes, it must be answering the question up top. Talina must be answering the question up top. For those of you listening in the replay, the question that's up top, or if you're watching this on the replay across all the platforms, the question up top is, have you spent more time taking care of others and taking care of yourself? Talina says, yes, but I'm also pouring into my dream life. I promise I'll give my kids everything I dreamed of. That is great. And thank you, Alex, for reposting and boosting to show love. Love reflected. Jimmy says that one promise he's willing to make is to show up for the next live. I'm here once, twice, 3 times a lady every day doing my life assignment. And it is a thrill to be me with all of you. It's a thrill to be me. I'm very happy being me with all of you. One of the biggest challenges in my life was giving myself permission to show up as I am. If you look back in the archives that I've not taken down, I've been doing this. I've been uploading to YouTube and going live, serving people online for the last 13 years. I had a whole different husband when I started doing this. The project was called Freedom to Love. And there was a voice that I used to put on. It was my likable voice. It was my pick-me voice. Hi, everybody. I wasn't Dr. Flo. I was Andre then. Hi, everybody. It's Andre, and welcome to Freedom to Love. It's a place for dreamers and seekers, and if you're here to own your highest truth and to love yourself more, I would love for you to continue sharing, and subscribing to this. Thank you for following my YouTube, and thank you for following love. I had a whole different voice. What's one promise I'm willing to make to myself this week? I'm going to be real. I'm going to be myself. You know how freeing and restful it is to be yourself? Every day, people wake up in the morning and put on a mask to present themselves to the world. They mask at their jobs. They mask on dates. They mask on telephone calls. There's this thing called masking. For those of you who study psychology, and what a gift it's been over the last few years to release the mask. Have y'all seen the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey? Turned into a whole different person wearing the mask. I'm thrilled to no longer have to put on a mask to go live and present my work and who I am and my mission and my message with the world. Take it or leave it. I'm loved and lovable. And that's what we encourage within each other here. Yeah, Jimmy, it's the judging of people, which is the true epidemic and pandemic. It's the judging of people that makes people feel like they need to mask in the first place. They're afraid. Let's talk about the fear. I gotta go. But let's talk, because my Netflix and my emails are calling me. But the real fear is that I will not be accepted as I am. That's the real fear that I had. And that's the fear that millions of people have. If they find out who I really am, and if I use my real voice, and if I speak from my real experience and my real heart, I'm going to be rejected. Because underneath the feelings of being judged is the feeling of not enough. And until you carefront and confront that feeling of not enough, that you overcompensate for by being someone you're not, or masking, or sitting your representative. There are people within this network and people that I encounter in life, I've never met the real them. They've sent their representatives into TikTok, and they've sent their representatives into text messages and emails so many times that one day in the future, could take 20 years, I'm going to meet the real them and be like, oh, who the fuck is that? Because people are always masking and sending their representative. The reason why I don't ever seem exhausted to you all or worn out is because I'm not sending my representative. I'm sitting here talking to you parasocially. Nothing to prove, nothing to protect, nothing to hide, nothing to defend. So I'm usually way less exhausted than people around me, because what you see is what you get. And I love me as I am. What's one promise I'm willing to make to myself this week? To continue being a real motherfucker. Loved and lovable. Shining unstoppable. Love is the truth that carries my soul. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. If tonight's conversation helped you in any way over on YouTube, Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and beyond, feel free to follow, share, and invite someone who may need it in the next time when we return. And remember, you are loved, you are lovable, and you deserve to belong in your life too.